What is a conversational print? That's what we're going to talk about. So, a conversational print is a print with a motif. Remember, a motif is the artwork used that makes up a textile design, that makes up your repeat pattern. So, it's a print with a motif that is recognizable. So, my favorite example of a novelty print or a conversational, the words are interchangeable, conversational, novelty print, is a rubber duck. Okay? And if you take this rubber duck, it's recognizable, definitely a rubber duck. No one could argue any other way, definitely not a real duck. And if you make it into a pattern, this is a conversational print. Okay? You could look at this print and say, wow, look at that rubber duck print. What a great raincoat you have on. All right? So, if we get into our PowerPoint really quick, conversationals have a main characteristic that is a recognizable object. They often are fun, whimsical themes, however, they really aren't, they don't have to be. There are a range of styles of conversational motifs. It is an opportunity for you guys to have a lot of fun, but you don't uh, you don't necessarily have to do something that's super silly, right? So there are novelty prints that deal with really serious themes, and there are also novelty prints that are rubber ducks. So we are going to talk about a few subsets of novelty prints because they can be broken up into a few different subsets. So chains, nautical, farm animals, birds, religious, makeup. We're looking at the image over on the right here. Celebrities, smiley faces, and insects. And actually, Neil here has a ton of really great shirts. If you're familiar with Great British Bake Off, he's always wearing these really cool conversational print shirts that are all actually made by like independent designers. He's really interesting guy. More chains. So this actually has some sport in it, and some conversationals have kind of a narrative, and I guess I would describe this as kind of a narrative piece here. So if you were looking to make a narrative piece about horses jumping, you would have horses in different positions. You know, maybe one of them is winning the race or the horse jumping competition. Um, Eyes. So this is a print that it looks really like botanical, but it does have eyes in it, and I think that that's very cool. Children's is a really cool market to explore for the conversationals print. Um, you can do whatever you want with a children's market, like any kind of really fun pattern, any kind of brights, anything like that. So it's really just a really exciting place to explore. More children's. Seasonal patterns are so fun. I frequently get a lot of Halloween patterns around this time of year from my students for the conversational print requirements. And I think that that's amazing. I'm so down with a Halloween print, or if you want to think ahead, you know, Christmas, Valentine's Day, this is a great project to do that like seasonal print you've had in your heart. Animals are so fun, and they can be like a great element in a narrative print, right? There's kind of a story happening here about a man sailing through a lake filled with birds. More animals. Animals are a great option. This animal print also has a lot of botanicals in the background, which is beautiful. The next project we do at Mass Art after the Conversationals print is the floral print. Okay, so you are going to want to consider, you know, maybe leaning away from the botanical and the floral side of a conversational print in favor of waiting till the next project. But I think that like mixing it in here, this print is gorgeous. So um, I think that it could be really successful to include plant life in your prints. More birds. This is like a really graphic bird that I think is beautiful. This has like a really Scandinavian element to it, which is super successful with these like more detailed hand-drawn birds. I love this like really bold stripe to it. Beachwear, card games, other random objects, toys, sports. Notice all of these are on adult clothing, right? There is room for this in an adult market. Toiletries, that's again more makeup. All of these are going to be available on the line and linked below this PowerPoint, so you guys can check it out yourself. If you want to look at any of these closer. This is like a wild 70s print. Looking back to past decades is a great option for like getting inspired for conversational prints, because in the 70s and the 60s they were like just a little bit more out there. More animals and nauticals. So this, I kind of touched on this earlier with beach, but nauticals are a huge aspect of conversational prints. There's lots of nautical prints out there. It's a huge part of it. So I think this is a really cool option to explore. Notice as well this is kind of a tossed design, something we'll be talking about in the next video. More nauticals and sea life. This is cool. This is kind of an engineered design, which means it's arranged on specific parts of the body, but this bottom one looks like it's just a straight up repeating pattern, and it looks like some beautiful seaweed or something. More sea life. Body parts. More body parts. So this is a Western, and this is a great example of a scenic print or a narrative, which is a requirement for the mass art project, the mass art conversationalist project. So if you notice, there are cowboys who are fighting in this. There's blood everywhere. Like there are broken wheels and shot up caverns or caravans, excuse me. There's like little farms in the background, and then there's some real action in the foreground. It's a really interesting print, and it shows that like not all prints have to be super cutesy. Like this has a lot of gore in it, honestly. This guy has maybe lost his horse, right? There's lots we can read into this, so it's a great narrative print, great example of it. Toiles. Toiles are very important prints in like the history of textile designs. You'll run into people in life who love toiles and who make a big deal about them and like collect them and things like that. They are scenic prints. A lot of times you'll see them where like the scenes are mixed in with flowers, and I might take a second and look at a few more of these with you. Toiles are often like really peaceful and really calm and serene scenes, but I have examples of Timorous Beastie's work, who's a design firm or a design house in London, and they make toiles where like people are shooting up heroin and like overdosing in the streets, and people are smoking, and it's like real, they've done like an underground version of a toile. So let me take a break and I'll show you that now. So first I wanted to show you a couple examples of more traditional toiles, and then a couple examples of modern toiles. So This is a traditional toile. There's like, you know, people working in fields, and there's also like ladies relaxing, and all of this is pretty typical. They can also involve like exotic animals and plants, and then there's also sometimes kind of sus images of like native peoples, and sometimes just like straight up racist stuff, because they're just so old. Um, so Timorous Beasties took these toiles, which are like this kind of like upper class fabric, you know, representative of like uh, you know, wealth in textile design, or wealth in textiles, and they updated them, and they produced a series of these for several different cities. So this is London, and they have some London landmarks in it, but then there's also like people being mugged, homeless people, um, just general kind of city life. You know, more neutral stuff, and then like the darker side of the city. So it's not like this, it's very juxtaposed to this kind of idyllic idea of the original toiles. This is another example of a modern toile. I think it's by the paper company. I can't remember the name of the design house, I'm sorry. But they've like updated, even though these characters are still wearing like old um, period clothing, they've updated with like a boombox, and they're dancing. And I just think they've reinterpreted this in a really interesting way, where African Americans are at like the forefront of the design. Um, so the toile can be like just a really interesting place to try and create a narrative design. It's something that I always love seeing students attempt to recreate and kind of interpret. So getting back to some of our examples of categories that you could do for your project, and you don't have to choose any of these categories in particular, you can make up your own. We are going to talk about keys. This is a really interesting print, a really large scale print that's kind of organized as a border, but you could also do something like this just as a like stripe or like a repeating pattern and get the same effect. Geometric, so a really dramatic polka dot could definitely be a conversational. I wouldn't say that a polka dot is 100% of the time a conversational print, although polka dots are super fun, and it could be argued one way or the other. This is such a fun picture of like this dress with the lucha libre masks, and then also the car with the lucha libre masks. And then botanicals. So the again, we're going to do florals in a second in the next project, and the line at Mass Art, we're going to do florals in the next project. And the line between florals and botanicals is a little bit wishy-washy here, like there's even a flower in this. So I guess I would recommend that you steer away from doing all botanicals, at least for this project, but if you wanted to do one and then mix it up with some other prints, that's all totally fine. Your prints don't have to be from all one of these categories at all. In a collection, you probably should have a few different prints from a few different categories. This has some very cool insects on it. This is a very interesting print. And then, yeah, some more insects. So that's the end of this PowerPoint, but why don't we take a second and we will look at the some of these prints on fashion designs. Okay, so this is from a few seasons ago. Actually, shout out to Meg, who made both of these PowerPoints. I didn't make these were given to me when I started teaching at Mass Art, so I appreciate you, Meg. And these are just some examples of fashion designs on the runway, like, or in print, I think mostly. So a lot of luxury brands incorporate prints into their runway shows heavily. There'll be prints that like carry through the theme of the whole runway show and can really tie the show together. So Dolce and Gabbana is a great example, where like they'll have like an overarching theme for their design and then or for their designs, all their fashion designs, and then their prints will be like these really fun and playful prints that support the theme in like a creative way, right? Cooking, this is kind of like a homey look here. All over ice cream, gotta love an ice cream print. Um, So this is actually a sports print, and even though this looks super geometric and like abstract, because there is one recognizable object, it's a conversational. So if you're a little bit afraid of the conversational, consider making it just one part of your object or of your pattern. Um, so if we actually go back, this one has like golf clubs in it, and even though it looks kind of like a nautical print, like a handkerchief or something, it is a conversational, actually about golf. So this is a version of a toile actually, with all of these like isolated vignettes that make up the pattern. Gotta love the pill collection by Moschino. I'm pretty sure I always say that name wrong. So this is actually a pill bottle bag, or like a pill bottle bag, and all of their prints for this season involved like drugs and pills. Very exciting print. I think this might have been the same season, but they were playing with paper dolls. It might have been a different season. It looks like the same runway though. So these are all like the paper doll cutouts, and then the models actually had paper doll cutouts like pinned onto them in some cases. I think we might see another one of those later in this. This is a like kind of a cultural print, a conversational kind of Greek vibe, more Greek vibes. These are beautiful. So this has a lot of floral elements in it, but I think because of the stars in it, it becomes a conversational. I think the line here is a little fuzzy between floral and conversational, but you're welcome to explore that line as much as you want. Yeah, some other cool prints. This is one of my favorites because it's both a polka dot and it has this really cool lip pattern in it. And it's using 3 different patterns. They're all polka dots, but all the polka dots are filled with different patterns in them. So you've got the lips in a polka dot on a smaller polka dot. And then you've got the lips and the black dot on the shorts in a polka dot. And then you've got the like maybe V for Vendetta mask. That's what it looks like. I don't think that's what it is. And then other faces and the red dot kind of overlaid over a texture here. There's a lot of textures going on and they all kind of fit together beautifully. I think it's really an exciting set of prints. Same thing here. They've just kept adapting the polka dot over different patterns, over different layers, in order to just like really keep the eye moving around the body in this really interesting way. Oh, some cute little girl clothing. More ice cream cones. So, Coach, these are some really cool, like, Western inspired pants, except the cowboys have, like, rocket boosters on them, and there's also skulls, but it's definitely a Western somehow still. I think there are really exciting prints that would be, honestly, a great collection to any wardrobe. Some very cool can print, very fun and tropical. So even though like this is such a mundane object, these cans, but they've like taken the exciting part of them and the wrapper and like added fruits in a stripe and just made it this really incredible fun print. So I honestly don't know what this print is made out of, but it's certainly dynamic, and I like the way the motifs like all change directions. Love this elephant on the ball. This is beautiful, and all of these motifs are also really spaced out, which is wonderful. So the lemon print, or maybe these are pineapples and lemons. I love a fruit print. You know, gotta love a strawberry dress, gotta love a pineapple dress. There's honestly nothing better. We've seen the power that a fruit print can have. It's really wonderful. Fruit prints, they should be another category. I don't know why they weren't in that last PowerPoint. Oh, some beautiful insect prints all over this cloak. More cigarettes and lips. Some safety pins. This print would be cool if you then like put a few real safety pins in here on this shirt as like the final textile design. That would be so interesting. You could even do that in your portfolio by like safety pinning through paper or something like that. Gotta love a novelty print with a character on it. I would tend to, as a rule, stay away from using someone else's IP, intellectual property, as your print, but it's really wonderful on when you can get an all over print of a cartoon. All right, so we've got some maps. Are these maybe flags? All right, that's the end, I think, of this print, of this slideshow as well. So what have we learned? Well, a conversational can be whatever you want. I never wear this vest, but I've saved it because of this crazy balloon pattern that it has on it, which I've loved ever since I first set eyes on it. So it can be a super powerful part of a fashion design collection. You all shouldn't underestimate it. You should embrace it. So please let me know if you have any questions about conversational prints. And I'm really excited to see what kind of fun conversational prints you make. All right, I will talk to you all later.